Talk Corner.
Real Entertainment Network.
Iron Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner. We gonna touch on some topics.
SKN. We got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, we got topics. Let's have a discussion. The people got questions. The people want answers. Yeah, it's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah.
Iron Reese. The talk is still real. We still on the corner.
Real Talk
We
Corner.
gonna touch on some topics.
It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. It's real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. It's real talking. Real talk. Yeah.
Check it out. You know, in tune.
Hey, Ira Reese. Yo, Reese. Oh, go on.
Everything cool, yeah, what going on?
Me good. Me are cool. I was supposed to upload a video for this show, so I got to do that. But you know the usual. How's the family? How the family? How the family?
Everybody going, yeah, can't complain.
Yeah.
Everybody's cool, you know, at this point. You know. So, everybody doing good, can't complain at all. Think
Yeah.
we collectively we are blessed and we are highly favored. We're still among the land of the oxygenated, you know. We made it to the weekend safely, so we have a lot to be thankful for.
Respect. Amen. Bless.
Yeah, man. We're doing everybody.
Same sentiments. Definitely.
Mm.
You know. Feel the same way. Just giving thanks. And just ready to get this week going, you know. See what this hopefully we have another good week. You know, but
Yeah, man.
tonight we're gonna be talking about what we're gonna be talking about, Reese. Go ahead, intro that.
Well, as we have seen, there's been a recent uptick in violent crime. So, when we compare the numbers from previous years to where we are this year, we're seeing that the numbers are significantly higher this year from previous years. So now we're going to look into the crime situation and we'll see, is it possible, right? Is there a possibility that we can reduce the crime that we're experiencing? And also, if we cannot reduce the crime that we're experiencing, and the law enforcement authorities aren't able to protect the citizens of the land, is giving the citizens the opportunity to protect themselves an option.
Okay. That might fall into the right to live, right? The right to life. You know, maybe the
Definitely.
protection of life should be a part of that, because if you have the right to life, then maybe the right to protect life is there as well. And we know exactly how we about and what we're talking about, but we can get into that a little later. So what I'm trying to do is actually up, upload the president's statement to the Federation on crime. So I'm just gonna come out the bat and saying, I know this is a politically conversation. A lot of the time, run with it and making we are not here on a political. We're not here from a political point of view. We're here on a social point of view. One of the that we would note is that the Prime Minister said in his speech is that it takes all of us to solve this problem. A part of that is to generate conversations surrounding the problem and inviting ideas. Hopefully, some of the ideas that we gather tonight from the audience, from members of the community, could be used and help to curb the issue of crime. Let me mute my mic a little bit because my young one coming upstairs.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's a community conversation because every time there's a violent crime, it impacts the entire community. So the right to live, the right to protect oneself. I think that we may have to start looking in that direction and see if there's anything that we can do to preserve the life of our citizens. Um, I think right now, as we see, it's becoming very dangerous um, to move around. And one of the things that we see frequently is once you see the uptick in violent crime, you start to get these travel advisories coming from major countries. You'll have the US saying this, or you'll have Canada saying this to their citizens, you'll have the UK saying this to their citizens. So is that a risk? Is that a risk that we want to take? I don't think that we should be taking that risk. So what can we do to curb crime at this present moment?
Yeah, and I want to say this: we're not talking about the piece that was circulating in the media. Apparently, that is fake. I would say that is fake. Usually, I would get a travel advisory based on destinations that I plan to visit. I have not received any travel advisory for St. Kitts and Nevis, so I would go out and probably say that thing that was circulating about travel advisory was fake. With that said, it can happen, right? With 50 murders for the year, 60 murders for the year, the population is what? 50, what's it? 54,000?
54, 55. I think that's where we are.
Okay. So if we were to plug those numbers in, I say 15, no, 16, and I'm going to just put by 54,000. We would have a murder rate of 29.62, well, 63. Let's round it off. 29.63 per 100 capita, right? That's high. That is high. You want to compare
Very high.
that to the highest murder rate in the world. Big boy, El Salvador and them man there. You know how them to do it. It's so well, you can't really. We don't want to compete with El Salvador. But oh wow, we still on there. But Reese, I want to say this, right? I want to say this.
Yeah, well, hold on. We shouldn't be competing with El Salvador. Let me tell you why we should not compete with
No,
El Salvador.
no,
El Salvador,
no, we're not competing with El Salvador. And we don't
El
want to compete.
Salvador is the home of MS-13,
MS-13.
one of the most violent criminal organizations ever to roam Earth. All right, so we don't want to compete. We don't want to even be mentioned in the same sentence as El Salvador, and El Salvador
Yeah.
is Gangwa.
Yes. And I mean, the Prime Minister did say that this crime, the crime that we're experiencing, is mostly related to gang war. I'm going to play that video. Just say good night to all the audience and who have signed in so far. If you're able to share the show, because we need the community in this one. So what we need is more interaction with the voices of the people. We would like to hear the ideas of the people on this. So Reese, we're gonna have to look at crime, and it seems to be concentrated in one particular area in St. Kitts. I would go further and say we have to look at the economical standing of that area. We are on a poverty and crime goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? So yeah, the breaking ins, that's something else. That's a different story. When okay, you know what? Let's be clear. We actually talking about the murders. Robbery and breaking in, that's gonna come up, of course. But I think the main focus tonight is going to be the murders, maybe gun robbery, and then all we could do is assume that the gun robbery would be coming from somebody of a more impoverished um, standard than somebody who is well off economically. So we're gonna get into that as well. But right now we're just asking, share the show. We're definitely gonna get into the meat of the matter. As soon as I could get this video for Dr. Honorable Terence Dew Reese.
Yeah, but like you said, theft, petty crimes, I mean, we we're not focusing too much on that. We're right now focusing on more of the loss of life and also the bodily harm crimes. I mean, it's the stabbings and the things like that. Anything that could be anything that's leading towards that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because as we've seen roughly in the last 2 weeks, about what 3, 4 people lose their life in 2 weeks, man. You know,
Yeah.
and when you compare it again to the last 2 years, 3 years, you realize that we were able to go through months without having any violent crime. So when you start to compare it, you start to wonder, hey, what is the cause of this upswing?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha. Shout out Alicia. Alicia, I like that you draw that to our attention. Some of the Brooks's people wear the most flashiest clothes, drive the most flashiest vehicles. How are they facilitating this wealth? You know, where is this wealth coming from? Is the question. Like, where are they getting this money? They're working, right? I hope so. Um, and if they're working, more than likely they don't have time for crime.
Yeah, you're right. Um, you start out people killing their own people like dogs. When you hear it over, you have to shake your head. That's true. And is this one of the things that we lack conflict resolution? That we don't know how to speak out situations anymore? That everything now we have to run for a gun? Is that where we are right now?
Yeah, but I mean that's one of the suggestions you're gonna be making tonight. So that's where we are. Let's be realistic, right? That is one of the suggestions that will be put on the table tonight. The right for law-abiding citizens to carry firearms more
No, but,
easily.
no, but I'm not even speaking about that part of it. The fact that you have a disagreement with somebody, and instead of
Hmm.
speaking out the disagreement, your first inkling is to run for a gun and shoot. We can't disagree. We can't agree to disagree. You have to go to that extent. Is there something that is there some disconnect where we cannot resolve conflict without violence? Is that one of the issues that's plaguing society as well?
Um, that is something that we're gonna get into, right? So one of the things that we have to talk about is the social programs that are available. The ability to talk to a therapist, the ability to talk to counselors, the ability to talk to group, the community. What does the community? How did the community really treat these individuals? Right? Do we treat these individuals as criminals growing up? If you're looking from a more like you're coming from a higher society, how does the higher society look at these individuals as well? Do they automatically treat them as criminals? Now, Reese, it's going to be important that we really talk about a lot of these issues, right? Because I myself, right, have been mistreated throughout school, right? throughout school. I was mistreated throughout school by the heads of the school, right? I was I was denied denied the right to, well, it's not a right, denied the opportunity to write an exam, to write a simple exam, even with all the efforts that I put out. And I think all of those kind of things, we have to look at that. We have to look at how people are being treated as well, right? Some people are able to shake that off. Some people adapt it. So there's depth to this conversation that we're gonna have to get into. I have the video of the Prime Minister. I want us to. Can you read Marlene's comment? It's really tiny on my screen. Are you able to read it, or do you want me to bring it up?
Malice is a very heavy thing to hold on, and sometimes you got to let it go. Unfortunately, letting it go means you have hurt someone or killed someone. You can never pay anyone to suppress their emotions.
Okay.
Um,
Reese, I'm gonna draw an example that's gonna put you on the spot. Unfortunately, we had an unfortunate event on the show a few weeks back. That was you acting out in your emotions. That is what Marlene is talking about here, right? The inability to suppress that. And some people act differently. So whereas your response might be words, somebody else's response might be, yo, may eat the food. So we're gonna get into a lot of things tonight, sir. We're gonna get into a lot of things. A lot of things. And by no means are we saying that we have the solutions. And by no means are we saying we can do better than the government or the opposition. But I think as a community we could bring up suggestions. And we could use our collective thinking and actually put forward some really good suggestions. We could look at models of countries that's doing well. Let's talk about rehabilitation versus incarceration. Let's talk about taking a petty criminal and hardening that criminal versus trying to reform that criminal and make that criminal someone that can be that would have a positive contribution to society. That is something we have to look at because everybody that goes in HMP is treated the same way. I'm sure they're placed in the same terrible conditions with the same with seasoned criminals, criminal like petty thieves have to go with murderers. And all of these could be influenced. Let's also look at the case of how we handle deportees and the influence of criminals that are brought into the country. We have to see when we are sent, like when a deportee is extradited back to St. Kitts and Nevis, what is the procedure? I don't know. I'm going to be making assumptions tonight, but I would also be making suggestions. Reese?
well, a deporting situation is a little different, because one of the things about when you have a deportee is that you haven't had eyes on him or her, necessarily been following him or her's life for X amount of years. You don't know 100% what they may be involved in. Right? I give you a great example. I think one of the, let's use for example, you have somebody come back and they come back for murder. No, you hear,
Deported,
man.
not come back. Deported.
Yeah, when
Deported is
this person's
important.
deported,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
person's
Okay.
deported, and you know, when you get deported, you have documents that is sent that each government send back and forth until everything. So they'll say that this person is being deported for the crime of murder after spending
Mhm.
X amount of time probably in that country's jail before being deported. So you
Mhm.
say, okay, person come back for murder. You read the file say it was murder by strangulation. Okay. But what they never tell you is this person was accused of 4 other murders, but they weren't able to prove it. So now this person maybe a serial killer, maybe a real killer, but were able to get away with 4 crimes and they only caught on one. Now
Yeah.
you bring
So
back
we don't
somebody
live.
into a you have somebody come back into a country who
Yeah.
in a sense is a trained hitman,
Yeah. That's
right?
possible. But
And, yeah. So that's the problem.
But we don't live in the stone age, Reese. We live in the age of information. So if you're telling me that somebody is being deported into your country, it is your authority's responsibility to find out each and every little detail that they can about this person. And that
That
person
is
should
true,
be
but
logged in the data. Go ahead.
that is true. But do you judge somebody for a crime that they're not convicted of? I'm accused. My name is tied to it, but there's no conviction. This case has not been solved. That's
You
the issue.
have to it's just approaching the situation precautiously, like cautiously, right? It's just like approaching it with the thought of this is a possibility. For one, you already know that they're a criminal, right? That's the first thing. That is the first thing. You already know that they're a criminal. So it doesn't matter about, yeah, they were accused and they got away. There is a high possibility that the case it just didn't stick. So you have to treat them. Uh, I'm not okay, because I don't really want it to sound like discrimination, but you have to be able. Okay, what is the procedure? Should this person be treated like somebody who is on parole, for instance, right? Um, should this person be brought into a program? Should there be a program for this person? Should this person be placed into therapy just to get a understanding of how and get a therapist to say, this is the mental evaluation of this person. There are things that you can do so you could understand who you're dealing with. Is this person rehabilitated? Is this person still the same? Right? Are we just gonna accept them back into society without saying, okay, let's try to help them get meaningful work. Let's make sure that they stay active and see who they are and just monitor them for a time being. Put like a detective, somebody to keep close track of them. This is a part of you, almost like a parole officer. Have them check in from time to time, get updates on what they're doing. There are things that you can do just to make sure that their transition into your society is a good transition.
Yeah, but you know putting a whole program in place for someone for an individual that has not been convicted of a crime in your country.
No. But but it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Because
matter, Reese.
then if that's the case, then you're opening the door where you could tell me, well, if I could do this to somebody who has not been convicted coming into my country, then somebody who's in my country who's accused of something, I could unlawfully detain them.
We're not talking about somebody who is just accused, Reese. You brought up the idea that this person might have been accused of other things, but they weren't able to close the case. This person, we have said, was actually accused, convicted, tried, did time, and then was deported. The accused part, we could neglect that. We're talking about what they have been tried for, what they have been convicted for, what they did time for. And then you really maybe need to figure out, who is this person? Let us have, I mean, what, you don't think that person deserve to go through some sort of mental evaluation, like something, so you know who you're dealing with? He's a criminal. That is a fact. Is a criminal, is a deported criminal. So forget everything he was accused of and he beat. She beat. I'm talking about what they were actually deported for, convicted for. They're criminals. You have to know. It's like how we have registered sex offenders around us. If you go on the database, you could pull them up anytime. You have to know who you're dealing with. The typical do a jacket will travel with them and they should be printed. Okay, Tanya. So that's what I'm saying. You have the what maybe their rap sheet, but I'm also saying, well, what happens when they land and they're handed over? You can't arrest them. I'm not saying to arrest them, Reese. I'm just saying maybe figure out who they really are. Give them a parole type setting, not a parole officer, but somebody to work them in the community so you could understand, somebody who could gauge their mindset, see if this person is willing to work, if this person no want to work, if this person look like he just gravitate to criminal activity, this person just it was just an unfortunate situation in their life, and now they're here and they want to do better. That's all I asking for. I'm not asking for anything else, because what I have been gathering here is that one of the murders that took place, the person that was charged is actually a deportee, and people like, I don't know him. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's the problem. You don't know these people when they come back. You don't know what they're capable of, because no one's keeping them. They come back and they just do as they feel. They could do as they feel. That's how I think. Reese, you wanted to say something, or can I slide in the conversation with Dr. Do?
No,
And
no,
let's look at it.
slide in conversation with Dr. Drew. Let's take
Yeah.
a look at what the Prime Minister had to say, and then we can come back. When we come back, I'll probably read Marlene's comment.
Yeah.
Crime
Marlene,
reduction
big up yourself.
requires the input and efforts of
Let
all
me
of
get
us.
some
I
value.
therefore appeal to the general public to cooperate with the
Value.
security forces. Immediately, the security forces will implement the following. 1. Increased security presence in our communities through various methods. 2. Further engagement of regional and international security experts to work along with our forces.
Okay. So let's start. Let's talk about measure 1, right?
What was measure 1?
Increase police activity in the community.
Okay,
No.
stop right there. Stick up. No, hold on.
Yeah.
Stick up in
Yeah,
we
that's
only
why.
we only got X amount of the police officers, right?
Yeah.
9 out of 10 times, police in when there's a crime, you call the police and the police show up after whatever happened. There's a shooting, then you call the police and the police show up. So, how realistic is that is measure 1? I don't see it being realistic.
Okay. So unfortunately, viewers, I was not able to listen to the high command, and the high command was supposed to follow up the vision of the government with their strategy and their tactics that they were going to use to carry out the vision of the government. So right now there's going to be some speculation as what they will be doing, and I am also going to make suggestions of how I think that vision should be carried out. So I would say you don't need to increase the harassment of citizens. You don't need to increase your presence in the way that you're patrolling. What you need to increase is your community presence. The police need to increase their community presence. We need to be able to feel comfortable with the forces that are meant to serve and protect us. They don't always have to take the authoritarian figure. Sometimes the approach can be soft, right? The police then could throw basketball games, get to know the community. They could learn who the elders are, who are the leaders in the community. I'm not talking about the gang leaders only. I'm talking about just the leaders of the community, the influential individuals in the community. Increase your presence in the community, become a community police, become a part of the community. So if something happened, people are willing to talk to you because they feel comfortable speaking to the police. Most of the crimes being solved in St. Kitts and Nevis are a direct result of communication from the community. So what the police need to do is realize that is the way in which they're able to solve crimes. That is the effort in which they need to increase. They need to increase on efforts in becoming more community oriented. When you see the police, you don't even feel like they're your friends, yo.
Yeah, but hold on now. Let's be real, right?
Mhm.
When these situations are occurring, they're occurring in certain places with certain type of people, right? For example, let's say, God forbid, there used to be a shooting in a church. You have a 90% chance that somebody in the church will come forward and say, "Hey, this is what happened." You're in the middle of McKnight by a bar, and there's a shooting. You know, for a fact, 150 people there, and nobody ain't seen nothing, right? It's also that. So the thing about stepping up community presence is tough, right? We also don't have the most or the largest police force. Even if you offer overtime, at some point the officers are gonna be tired and sleepy. There's some people won't just be there because they may be in a little financial squeeze and a little bit of money.
Let
And
me.
that's what we're going to come down to.
So I'm just gonna ask you, what do you think policing is? What do you think policing should look like? If you had to sum it up, what should policing look like?
To solve these problems right here.
No, just what do you think police?
No,
How do you
because
think a police should be?
no, I
Because I just tell
understand
you
what you're
how I think a
no,
police
no,
should
no,
be.
no, no. The
Yeah,
community interaction is important. That is a fact. I agree with you. I believe that if a police is walking down Cotton and see some little boys in the road playing cricket, he should go and take a ball or take a bat with them. I believe in
correct.
that. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because the older people are the 19 to 30 age group, you may not be able to connect with them. But if you train up this next generation coming forward, you may be able to instill something in them that's a little different. Their perception of police will be different. Now, once you don't make
mhm.
it to 15, 16, and you have a perception of police, it's kind of hard to change that. So I do feel that they need community interaction. I think that they need to mingle with people. And I don't think that everything has to be, like you said, an authoritative standpoint. You don't have to always come around as a presence of authority. Because at the end of the
Yeah,
day, once you take off your badge and you take off that number in chest and you take off your uniform, you bleed just like me. You put on your pants just like me. You put on your shirt just like me. You don't know nothing special. So understand that you're a member of society as well. I think one of the things that we need as well is the police that live in these communities need to be visible.
yeah.
Not visible in terms of in uniform, but just visible. Go by the bar and play domino. You're human just like us. Play domino.
Mhm,
Go play some cards. Be wrong
mhm,
people.
mhm.
Be wrong people.
Me not say gamble, but no break up
No,
every
me,
gambling you see. You know
me
what
not
I
say
mean?
me not say gamble. Me not say gamble.
Yeah,
But
see them man a gamble
also,
sometimes and just do so, and them man gonna be like, "Man, cool police." It's like some things you could bend a little bit on too. You
yeah,
know what I
because
mean?
I before this year, man gamble and a man fighter.
Yeah. Well, I
So
guess the problem is they feel like gambling leads to that kind of activity. You know, when your money gets stolen or whatever. Yeah. But if a man feel like
I,
he could go to
what?
man feel like he could go to
Sometimes,
police officer Reese and say, "By officer Reese, me and think me long there gamble and the man thief me money and say I can talk to him." So
yeah, but
man, you could do the man that
sometimes
bad.
too, you need the officer to stay in the gamble because sometimes the officer staying there is the difference
Mm-hmm.
between a man pulling out a gun and shoot them and say, "Bye, f you,"
Mm-hmm.
you know.
That too.
So we need that.
Gambling is one thing, but anyway, that's a petty crime, right? See, let's read Marlene's comment. Let me
No one fist
see
fights anymore, or
that
even
that
reason
one.
with each other.
She had a longer
Which
one. It seems I have it. It seems like people in the federation are willing to understand the psychological effects that have led these young men to think that there is no other way to solve an issue other than to hurt each other. Also, what happened to hard work, a 9 to 5, being a productive member of society? What is the seduction into this gangster lifestyle? Is it just money or is there more? Does anyone take time to engage these young men? That is a part of what we're saying here. Marlene, the truth be told, right? I know in some communities, and that's why I brought up the thought of the thought that maybe it's more of the poverty-stricken communities that have these problems, because there's a direct correlation to poverty and crime. It's there. The research is there. Crime is usually higher in areas that have high levels of poverty. That's why you find people in the suburbs leave the door open and they can't unlock and all these things. But when you go in the hood, it's beep, beep. Everybody lock up and bars on the windows and all of that. You could see it. It's there. It's visible.
you see the difference.
You see the difference, yeah. And a lot of the times, I've spoken to people, and what it is that the life that some people are accustomed to, like maybe me, I might be fortunate enough that I thought, yeah, I could go. Like my mind is, I going to college, I'm gonna get a decent paying job, make money, support my family, build a house, whatever. They don't even know outside of their block, and all they know is what's within their block. And because they only know what's within their block, they look at who is making it in their block. And who is typically making it in their block are the drug dealers, the people them who murder, the thieves. Those are it. And then they look at, when it comes to the male, nothing has changed. In nature, the males have the large manes, the prettiest flowers. We always, like, if you look in the bird kingdom, the pretty birds are the males, because we always try to attract the females. Now you would hear them say, gunman in she hole, she like that. And it's not just a song. It is the truth. There's females out there that literally want the bad man them. And that they want. And these men attracted to women and they want these women. So they turn bad man too. You check?
I'll,
That is a
I'll tell
part
you
of
now.
it.
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you now.
blaming
The
it.
major part of it.
I'm not blaming it on the
You,
women, just so you know.
you said something about the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But we have seen over the years for a long time throughout various Caribbean countries as well that a lot of the politicians and political parties are tied to some of these entities as well. Are tied to some of these criminals as well. So when you look at, for example, you look at sorry, you look at Jamaica, you look at the PLP, you look at the JLP, and you see them tied to Dodos, and you see them tied to these other criminal entities, and you realize, well, they got political links. These men ain't working, but these men is flashiest. Uh, why you can't do the same thing, right? You look again, and we bring it all the way back to St. Kitts, and you just say, well, Leonard had political connections. So you not had connections, then why I got to do this and do that? No. So you turn to political parties, treated the same thing, where you always see that for whatever reason, the politicians always seem to be in bed with the gangsters. And that is one of the biggest issues that we have. So they also feel a sense of they can't touch me because this person coming back. I get this person elected, next 5 years, I good. That is a problem. But we don't talk about that side of it. But that is a major problem.
Oh yeah, we were gonna get to that. 1970s were one of the hardest time. That's why Bob Marley got shot, right? The political connection to crime, definitely. You should hit an excellent point. I'm hoping that is not the case in St. Kitts and Nevis, but the peace treaty program started to give us that feel for a little bit, right? With the unity government. I don't know. Huh? Go ahead.
I think one of the issues with the peace treaty, you didn't, even though you just seen the names, right? At one point, I think a list when it came out or something of that nature. You didn't really know who on which side. I guess you just saw names. I don't know if people in society would have known, hey, Johnny is this person's cousin and Johnny and this person. I don't know, but we have seen it from time to time. You know what I mean? You look at, for example, you look in Jamaica and you look at the Klansman gang, and they connected all the way through PLP, all the way through PLP. Whereas you look at the Shaw Posse and the Tivoli movement, they're connected all the way through JLP, and these are major criminal entities. You know what I mean? But that's just what it is.
Gigi, they got woman criminals too. They got woman
Oh,
criminals,
definitely.
so they could be. Yeah. I mean, you always even hear the talks of women setting up men to be killed. Let me read some of the comments. So, Livy L.
Le-
Brown, big up yourself. Huh?
No,
You
when
were
you
saying
finish, we're
something?
gonna go through. No, when you finish, we're gonna go through Yasan Tafari's thing, and we're gonna tackle it bit by bit because it's a multi-layered question, multi-level questions, but it has some good questions in there.
Yeah.
Yasan, big up yourself.
Okay.
Big time supporter.
Yeah. Good night, Laurette. Okay. So, Livy L. Brown. Livy L. Brown. Okay, here it is. That used to happen with past police officers. And I think he's talking about the community police. A police officer think he must be seen as the law. So he walks with his chest puff and talk to you as if you're his child and think that will bring respect. And that is a problem. That is a problem. So, and I've always heard it never used to be like that in the Federation. I guess crime was down too.
Man, you remember? I don't know
Gigi.
if you remember. You remember back in the day, police used to walk with gun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember being a youngster and following my cousin Tarian home, walking down, police, and I'm young, man. I'm still in school, and police pulled me up, me and two other guys, in the middle of the road. We're walking in the middle of the road. We ain't trying to hide. We ain't trying to walk behind the wall or anything. We just walking in the middle of the road. This is in Ramsbury where I grew up. Actually, I was passing Andy Leibert's house, who is my uncle, and the police pull up on us, and he had a gun. He had his gun, and I said, well, that gentleman that live in that house, Andy Leibert, is my uncle. I live down the road right here, and I just followed my cousin Tarian, and that time the Michael Perkins. So I mentioned that the Honorable Michael Perkins' nephew. So that's a long time ago. That was when we were in Foss Farm, eh? That was when we were in
Yeah.
Foss Farm, right? Nephew home. But I said, you know what? To make you feel better, would you like to take us to our place of residence? No. But we can take your name. Where you taking our name for? Well, if anything happen, we can come look for you. I said, but you could take me back. You could take me home and see me go into my house and see that I'm a part of this community. No. I remember the police name. I remember the two of them, and I remember those are the kind of police officers that you really got to start to look at how you're policing. Anyway, Gigi said to Livy, these guys now can't match the officers from the 80s. Okay. The way some police conduct themselves in public is why they are not respected. Boom. Javon said, for this to ultimately stop, we need to deal with it from the root, and the root of all this is broken families and poor decisions of parents. Okay, that's a strong decision, but we got to see why. We got to also speak
Valid
about
point.
why the families are broken. You know what I mean? And then we're gonna have to say Gigi said that the P was one of the worst things, and then she also said, "Imagine women and all," on that piece. It wasn't. It was helpful for a time, but it was a band-aid. I think they should have used the peace treaty as a way to halt crime for that time period while they get something that was more sustainable in place. I don't think that was the plan. I think the plan was to identify them and just lock them up. But that gone. So let's look at Yasan Tafara. He said, let us step back a bit, ask a few questions. I take a sip here because I don't want to. Okay, first question here. How are these illegal guns and ammos getting into our borders so easily? Question one, right?
Let's answer that one by one.
Question one.
Illegal guns and ammo getting into the borders easily. I don't even think they necessarily come to the airport as much. We have a very porous border. I don't think we have the capability of protecting our waters the way that we probably should. And it's easy to come from, for example, you're looking at a St. Martin and going on the backside of St. Kitts. So you're looking at a Antigua going on the backside of Nevis to get to easily. So it's a very porous border. You can get to very easily. And there's a lot of blank spaces where there isn't any. Most of the spaces ain't even gonna light. So if you're coming 10 o'clock at night, he won't get you. You're coming 2 o'clock in the morning, make it even worse.
Okay, so what do you suggest?
I think because of the way that we are geographically set up, it is very tough to stop it all. It's very tough to stop it all.
But how do you reduce it? You would never. I know there was 100% crime free as a song sometime, but it'll never be 100%. But how do you suggest we reduce that issue?
Well, I think we need more border patrol, right? In terms of like the Coast Guard and stuff like that. But it can't just be having one or two boats out. Because, for example, you have two boats out in St. Kitts alone. Because of the length of St. Kitts, there's still going to be empty spots.
Got you. So do you think? Go ahead.
So this second is when we need community. This second is when we need people in the community to come forward and say, hey, this how we face it. Because I can tell you something, right? And I don't know this for a fact. People don't quote me. But some of these young men who are on the peace, take their money, go buy a gun, you know.
Wow.
And I don't think now. I think now we may even be seeing more sophisticated firearms. When the time comes, we may start seeing more sophisticated firearms. We may start seeing rifles that are going to even have the defense force and the police backing up because of the firepower.
Feel you. And we're gonna get to the other portion. My suggestion here, I think it was kind of laid out in the prime minister's plans. He said they would increase CTV, the what is it called? CCTV. Yeah. So what you would want to do here is increase the lighting in some of these areas where it's easy for boats to land, and where you increase the lighting there, you also put a number of cameras along the shore. So when people go down there, you definitely see them. There are gonna be some areas that you can touch. Yeah, that's okay. Make it difficult for them. May them go out, but at least you could see the traffic coming in late at night, early in the morning. You could see the movements, whatever it is. We also have to kind of I don't know what the Coast Guard do, so maybe we need to invest in Coast Guard, so we could invest in our Coast Guard, so the Coast Guard could actually patrol the waters a lot more and pull up boats. Sometimes you gotta pull up.
You know what they need to? I think they need to increase the pay. Whatever the pay is, needs to be increased. Whatever it is. Because that's the only way you will have this generation that have coming in willing to sign up.
Yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes you gotta pull up the fishermen them too. You know what I mean? Right now we are not certain who is bringing them in. Fishermen might be hiding guns under their fish. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying the
Very
fishermen
true.
are doing this, but you cannot rule out anything, right? So all I'm saying is the same way how you might have a stop. Well, then again, does the Constitution allow that? That's the other thing you have to look at. Eh? Does the Constitution allow that? Because we know they had some illegal searches going on with this drug act back in the day, and we can't go back to infringing on people's rights, you know. But
All right,
but I
let me go
might
to point two.
but you might got to stop there until the fisherman don't pull up their boat. You know what I mean? And see how long the fish stop in the boat. Pretend you
So
buy
the
some
other
fish or
question that
something.
Yassan asked,
Yeah.
right? Why are those who pay to control our borders and national security not held more accountable? I think the reason why they're not held more accountable, I think, is because people understand that it's kind of tough.
It's
Secure.
tough.
I think as a society, we understand that it's very tough to. So it's damn near impossible, but it's very
Yeah.
tough
Yeah, it's tough.
to secure our borders 100%.
Yeah. And I don't really want to blame anyone, and rather than come up and it's like we're trying to I want to encourage them. I would like to encourage them. So I would say to them, rather than why are not they held accountable, I said, can you is it is it possible that there's some recommendations that you're making and you're not being heard? Because if so be the case, just slide it on to RTC. We're gonna talk about it. Come on the show and talk. Go to the don't take the blame. You know, if you have some ideas, you know, uh, shout it out to the people them who are responsible, who I'm talking to, right?
Definitely.
Because sometimes they're responsible, but they're not in charge. So, was that the last question?
No, the last one is why
Okay.
are
Okay.
perpetrators of many gun related crimes not convicted?
Ah, that one that one. So that one has to do with our investigation skills, and that one has to also do with a kind of the policing, the community thing. So a lot of these policing shows you watch, um, first 48, them kind of shows that the first thing the police them do is talk to people. Eh? That's the first thing the police then do. They talk to people. They got CI. They have paid CIs. They have paid people. They have people that they pay to, like, yo, Reese, you know this, right? They have paid CI. They
Now
have
listen. So
people
so the
that they
first
could
thing
go
that you
to. Who,
well, you're
hmm?
right. But the one thing that you realize, 90% of the convictions that you see, it always has a star witness. There's always somebody to come forward and speak. So if no one is willing to come forward and speak, then that's where you are.
Yeah. There's also uh Jevon talked about the DNA last week. I don't know if we how much we use that, DNA testing and forensic, and what kind of database we have to keep track of DNA testing. I don't know the training of the officers, how well they are in securing a crime scene, locking down the crime scene, gathering evidence. I remembered a young lady got knocked down, run over, hit by a car, and she unfortunately lost her life. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, Reese. 3 o'clock in the
Mm,
morning, some place in Orange County. 3 o'clock in the morning, and all 11 o'clock in the morning, the scene still shut down. Police still doing the investigation, picking up as much as they can. Looking through the grass, seeing what they could find, footprints, pieces of car, whatever it is, to help them identify what it is, who it is. The first thing they did, they found a piece of lampshade. They were able to take that lampshade and say this lampshade came from this particular type of vehicle. So now we know what
yeah,
vehicle they're
yeah,
looking for. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, I think that is something that the prime minister is saying that they're going to improve on. I don't know how. Like I said, I wasn't able to listen to the high police command, but it is something that they're going to need to improve on. Like you say, they probably need to increase the pay of the police officers to incentive in incentivize youngsters to join the force and actually make a difference. So
All right,
that's my
let me go back to
2 cents.
the next part of the Prime Minister statement.
I want to read Tishari Jeffers one. She said perhaps they need to go back to sending the tallest police officers like back in the day into the school to talk to children. Doing this created some fear and encouraged discipline disciplined students, especially when they were conducting the DARE program. So I remember the DARE program as well. So what was point number 2 from Prime
2.
Minister?
Further engagement of regional and international security experts to work along with our forces. 3.
Okay, yeah, back 2. So we need help from the regional and international experts. That's a
Oh,
good initiative,
okay.
but I just don't know what it means.
I like the idea, but I'm gonna shut that one down right now. Majority of our regional counterparts had the same problem. Me taking the help from you if you can't help yourself. What you gonna do? Call Jamaica and say I need help? Call Trinidad and say I need help? Call Barbados and say I need help? Everybody going to the same thing right now.
There's no one that's doing well. No one that has a high crime solving rate, at least decent crime solving rate.
You see, that right there, what you just said, is the problem. I don't want a high crime solving rate there. No, I want a low crime rate. I don't want to be reactive. I want to be proactive. I want to stop the crime. I want to then solve the crime after. No.
So then I mean, with that said, crime is always going to be there. So let's couple them together then. So my bad, low crime rate and a high crime solving rate. Because if you have a low crime rate, but the crime solving rate is still low too, then you ain't saying anything. It just means your people wired differently, So it's not really the police. Well, what I would say, the international one can work. There's countries like Switzerland, there's countries like
But the
Norway,
international one work, definitely.
Qatar is very strict in their laws. I was kind of looking into it. How are some of these countries able to keep their crime rate so low? And the approach is different. So we have to know what works for our society, right? For our society, we have to know what works for our society. Um, I just believe community policing is one of the first steps that we're gonna have to do. It was actually community policing emphasize community engagement and cooperation. Countries with low crime rate promote community policing. This approach involves building trust between police and community, fostering partnerships, encouraging citizens to actively participate in crime prevention efforts, education and social programs. Countries with low crime rate invest in education and social programs aim at addressing root cause of crime by focusing on providing quality education, vocational training, and social services. They work towards reducing poverty, inequality, and social exclusion. That was why I was talking about when I said the teachers then decide they're not gonna let me write maths. Right? Something as simple as that could have made me say, by fire burn this system. I don't even want to be a part of it, which are often associated with higher crime rates. There's also economic opportunities, but we're gonna
I ain't
move
gonna lie
on.
to you. The matter of fact, let me apologize to everybody in the comments right now. Y'all
Yeah,
have some serious comments and they're coming in fast. We're
we're
missing
trying,
some of them. I apologize. We're trying
we're
our
trying,
best.
but we appreciate it. We
But we
appreciate it
appreciate
because
it,
we know,
definitely.
yeah, we know everybody is concerned, right? We know everybody is concerned, and it's good. It's good that we
But you know
have this
what?
engagement.
I'll tell you something that's weird, right?
Hmm.
You know, oddly enough, a lot of the crimes under yourself.
Hmm?
A lot of the crimes under yourself, yeah.
A lot of the
The
crimes,
problem is that they do
yeah.
get solved.
Oh, they do get
Problem is
solved.
that the streets to clean the streets. But because the streets cleaning the streets, it's an ongoing cycle. Cause Johnny gonna kill Tim, somebody gonna kill and come and kill Johnny. Person who kill Johnny gonna get killed, and they're gonna keep going. That's the problem.
But that's where the
It's an
community
ongoing
police
cycle.
is the voice of reason, right? I mean, I gotta be able to say, come on, Reese.
So
Come on,
because
Reese.
here's the thing, right? Like I said, almost every crime that is solved has a star witness. If you know that you're gonna testify against Reese and Reese was just willing to kill somebody, but you know Reese may be willing to kill you. Do we have any witness protection? So when
No.
I testify against when you testify against Reese, you still got to go back in the same community as Reese. You can't look Reese in the eye again. You can't feel safe around Reese.
Well, you would think that's where the regional assistance can come in, right? You're gonna be able to send a man to another country or something, you know. You can't, because you can't send them Nevis and you can't send them Sinkets. You gotta send them someplace else. Maybe not even Antigua. Maybe to the Windwards. You know, give them a new
And do you
name,
uproot?
passport,
Do you
everything.
uproot the entire family?
The entire family.
No, the entire family different. Because if
The immediate family has to go, because
if
you're not.
if you move me and send me to Trinidad and you leave my uncle in Nevis and send them to my uncle, I will come back as my uncle. You're looking at moving families of 20, 30, 40 people.
No, not the extended family. You can't uproot the extended family. Everybody related. I'm talking about your immediate family. I mean, like a father with brothers, with daughters, children, whatever the case. That's, wives, husbands. People. If they really have a cousin that they're close to, because what are they gonna do? They're gonna use people who are close to you to dry you out. So
For example, let's use you for example. You go to Whitset. They're gonna have to put Tyrion and Akeem in witness protection there. You realize that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would be ultimately up to them, to be honest.
But that and so these are the little things we have to look at.
But those are extended families again, Reese. Those are extended families.
Yeah, but those are the individuals you're close to. Those are the ones that would jar on your emotional strength to get you to come out of Whitset.
Some of them, yeah, definitely. For sure. They could go that route. It's a tricky thing when you're dealing with witness protection, because it doesn't even have to be family. It could just be you, Reese. It could be a friend. There could be a slaughter. Everybody. It's just it's that one is a tricky one. It's always been a tricky one.
Let me go to the next part, Juno.
Strengthening of the intelligence capabilities of the security forces. 4.
So that was 3, right?
Strengthening of the intelligence capabilities of the security forces.
So they ain't trained by the CIA.
We need that. We need
How do you think they're gonna? How do you think they're gonna respond to that? How do you think they're gonna achieve that? I need to start reading some of these comments. But how do you think they're gonna achieve that?
What I think would be good to do is, you kind of have an idea who is who, who's involved in what, and I don't know if this is how it goes in Caribbean, where you could arrest somebody for 72 hours without charging them. And what you'd have to do is take them in and start to collect fingerprints and start to collect DNA and stuff like that, and start to build a database. I think these are the kind of things that we need. I think every time we find a firearm, we should conduct ballistics on it. To see if said firearm was used in any other crime. No, you would be able to get ballistics from the shell casings. So if you pick up a shell from a shooting in town, and 2 years later you pick up a gun from Johnny, and you shoot the gun from Johnny, and you compare the markings left on the shell, because these markings are like DNA for firearms. Then you'll be able to see, okay, well, this gun that Johnny had was used 2 years ago in this murder. We could start connecting a lot of dots.
Correct. I thought they do. I thought they're already doing that though.
I don't know. I really don't know.
The part with the ballistics, at least, but I don't know if they have. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know. It's
But I
sad,
think,
right?
definitely DNA and fingerprints. We need that.
DNA and fingerprints. We need that.
And it also be good to have individuals within the security forces who could build patterns. And you know how sometimes you just see they try to predict when the next crime gonna happen before it happen. You know, we start to have people like that as well working alongside the security forces.
Okay, so I don't know the levels of policing, the rank of a police officer, but it begs me to wonder what is the qualification to be a detective. You know, do you think there should be a certain qualification to be a detective?
Well, from what I know, let me use the US thing. What they do is every time you go for a different rank, you have to take an exam. You know, then you have a study guide, and sometimes they even go to classes, and then you will have to take an exam. If you don't pass the exam, then you're not eligible to go up to the rank, I think, for another 2 years. And then if you do pass the exam, you still passing the exam is just one phase of it. Then instead of a couple other things you have to go through in order for you to actually obtain, go up in rank. So that may be something that they have to start looking into.
And also, they need to send the detectives on training courses, right?
Well, not just the detectives. The entire force. I think training needs to be reoccurring.
No. Well,
Training needs to be reoccurring, and everybody needs to go on various training, because for something as simple as community outreach is a training course that they need to go someplace to understand, because they're not doing it.
Well, I understand you. I understand you can't send everyone. We got to look at the constraint of cost. So, you know, in those cases, you bring someone in. You know, you create a train. Reese, you know, you work for the federal government, right? There are standards that you have to keep. So there's training that you have to do repeatedly every year. I'm sure you have to sit in front of a computer and watch a video and answer some questions after, all the time, every year, the same video all the time.
But don't remind me, see?
Yeah. So I mean, something as simple as that. A little reminder, you know, this is what effective community policing looks like. This is what this looks like, that look like, and they do this video every year. It's a part of them. I would think that they have to do a physical test, you know, every year. Maybe not.
No,
but
I refuse to believe that.
But the part that why I'm saying, you know, send the detective overseas, it's so that they could work with other detectives while they go through the cases, work with them as an apprentice, see their methodologies, learn, you know, help solve a case, almost like an internship, you know. Remember when they had the police, the cop from the Orange County Police, I think he was trying to do a program like that, right? And you know, they could have come and work with the Orange County Sheriff Office up here in Orlando, work with the detectives, actually be a part of a case, help solve a case, see how they do the thing, do couple cases, go away for 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be, just so people have to go away. I don't know, maybe they do it. I don't know, but you just don't feel like they're doing anything like that. You know, that's the detective, because these are the ones that you expect to solve these crimes. These are the ones going out there and doing the work. It's not the constables that you expect to go out there and solve the crime. You know, remember that.
No, I
Them
agree.
man only
I
supposed to lock up
I
people.
agree. I totally agree. I think that we need all the help we can get. That's me. We need all the help we can get. I think that we also should
I
form a partnership, like you said, form a partnership with whoever, and have our detectives go through the course, go through the
Please
actual
hold
course.
on.
Yeah.
I want to take. I
Don't
want
don't
to
say
take a
nothing.
time.
Don't say
Huh?
nothing. Don't say nothing, lad. I know where you're going. I know where you're going. I know where you're
Okay.
going. I know where you're
Uh,
going. Are you wanna big up yourself?
yeah, we'll keep that in consideration, Iona. We keep that in consideration. High consideration. Um, yeah, let us move on to the other one. Good morning, good morning. What's the name? Is he so small? Evan?
Yeah, that's Evan Jefferson in the UK. Evan, big up yourself.
Oh,
Um,
send them to Quantico.
no, we're not sending to Quantico.
Wonderful.
I will not send any. I will not send anybody to Quantico.
Why not?
Not
Why
me.
wouldn't you want to send them to Quantico, Reese?
No, I'm
You
not
don't
doing that.
you don't want them to get FBI
Listen,
training?
the first thing them man going to do, the first thing them man do in the morning, 3 o'clock when I'm wake up out of bed, till you go run 20 for 20 minutes. If you don't got too much fun, just
Let
run in 20
them
minutes. Then.
go. They're gonna learn. They're going to learn. They're going to learn.
Them man going to call and
I
ball
mean,
and come back so fast.
I would hope that would be a part of the partnership with the international
But
thing, uh,
but you know something
as
else
well
too.
as Mhm. No,
You know
no,
something
no.
else, and this is what just came to me. Promotions within the police force should not be political.
Mm.
You have to
But how
have
should it
you
be?
have to meet you have to meet the standard. You have to meet the standard. So if you
Okay,
need to pass this exam, you have to pass the exam to get the rank. If you have to run 3 miles in 10 minutes, you have to run 3 miles in 10 minutes, not 3 miles in 12 minutes, and you get it. No.
not 3 miles in 10.2 minutes.
Yeah,
Not 3 miles
yeah.
in. You have to be below that. Not
You
even
you
a
you,
little
you
bit.
have you have
Unfortunately,
to you have to be there.
whatever it is. But it would be very important that they really, whatever the promotion test is, they really need to think about it. It can't just be some little questions. You gotta be some real stuff. Um,
And
I don't think they're doing anything like that.
like how when we do CXC, they bring in the exams done from previous years, and that's what you practice. They need to get some previous exam for like the NYPD or the LAPD or whoever, and use that as the exam. This is the detective exam. Let's go.
They need. There's things they could do. I I'm not. I don't want to say what. Let me stop saying they need to. I suggest they do this. It's a suggestion. I just suggesting. Cause we don't know Reese. We ain't on screen, huh? Stomach.
I thought you realize.
Is the prime is the prime minister on screen all the time? Let's move on to the
Intelligence
next one.
capabilities of the security forces. 4. Expansion of the CCTV infrastructure island-wide.
I can just skip that one. I think we kind of touch on that, but I don't know if you want to say anything to it.
It sounds good, but it's impossible.
You mean CG? Yeah, when CG was the head of CG Warner. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Who I meant. He had I think he had a program where they could have come to Orlando and worked with the Orange County Sheriff Department because he worked with them, and I'm pretty sure he would be willing to help still. You know, um, it's not impossible, but how useful has the CCTV been since the implementation? What are the statistics? Show me the statistics that says out of 20 crime, that was committed. The CCTV helped us solve 6, 5, 15. What are those stats?
Well,
Maybe they're there. Maybe we just
well,
don't know.
well, let me tell you something.
Is it
If you implement
effective?
CCTV nationwide, as he said, that means you're gonna need a
Huh?
major team. You're gonna need a major team to monitor it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not just to monitor the cameras, but to also monitor that they're functioning properly. So you're gonna need a lot of technicians. That's one. Two,
Hold on.
if
Yeah.
me and you know that they got camera and Chapel Hill Drive, and they got camera on the other road over, me and you get over the other road to fight. You know, they got camera by the Bournemouth basketball court. Then they got a camera between Bournemouth basketball court and Prospect Primary. Somewhere between
Yeah.
that, go fight. It sounds good, and we see a lot of things that sound good, right? And we take a lot of things from politicians that sound good, but it is impossible.
Okay, Reese, I want to say this. You see the man with teeth the bike the other day?
Yeah.
You think the CCTV helped them crime there? I just give people joke.
No, because you don't know who under the sheet.
That is a part of that issue, right?
Me see, Isaac Hasba, that who I see.
The friendly ghost, right?
Yeah, that who I see. What do you mean?
No, I don't know how much the CCTV can help in the case of the masked men. Do we have people trained? I guess there is. I remember one time, I must be used to getting a lot of trouble in school, but Elliot had threatened me with bringing in a handwriting specialist, to see if I had wrote something. It was a bunch of us. I was later acquitted of that offense, so that was a waste. But
this,
but
and
yeah,
then you know what else you're gonna need too? You're gonna need a major database and a major backup. Because if your system got on and you don't have a serious database in the backup, and you have a crime on camera and that wipe out, then the crime never happened.
You definitely need the database. But let's move on to the next one. Scooby-Doo.
And 5, enhancement of evidence gathering capabilities to ensure that perpetrators are brought to justice. The High
I think we kind of spoke about that.
Yeah.
We spoke about the ballistics and the fingerprint and the DNA and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we're hoping that's what they meant.
So you know what that just showed me? 20 points is really one, yeah?
Yeah.
So it's so good. But when you dissect it, then what is really being said? And that is where we're at.
Yeah, respond. Problem. Let's go again.
The police force will hold a press conference tomorrow to give more detail on these initiatives to the general public.
I missed that.
The cabinet has also agreed to table legislation in the National Assembly to increase the penalty for illegal firearms offences from 15 to 25 years in prison. I reassure you.
Okay. More jail time if you get caught with a gun. 15 is a lot of years. I feel like 15 would have already deterred me from picking up a gun. So you see, I don't know if tacking on 10 more can do a difference.
At least at this point, something out here, which I think I may have said this on a different show. I might have briefly spoke about this. If you want a passport or driver's license, you should have to submit fingerprints, yeah?
For what?
If you want the passport or driver's license, you should have to submit fingerprints. No, I'm talking so that you could build a database.
But you had to do it
if you want. I think I didn't finger. But man, I just want fingerprinting. I don't know. My fingerprints in a lot of database here.
You do it for the conceal, for sure.
I do it for my gun.
Yeah,
for the conceal, for my job.
For the conceal, you have to do it for your job. Okay, yeah, but I don't think you had to do it. But I mean, I get it. I definitely get it. Just taking people biometric and it's kind of rough, you know. Kind of rough. I don't know what the Constitution say about that, but we would have to see what the Constitution say about that, Alicia. But that is something that can be explored. If the
Fingerprint should be done
citizens
at birth. But
at birth,
Era, when,
no, no, no,
Era, when, Era, think
no,
about
no,
it.
that not gonna work. Yeah,
They don't do the fingerprint on the baby man.
no, they don't try.
You sure, boy?
Yeah, no, they don't do it. No, crazy boy. Nah, no, sir. They do
But
the foot thing. They do the foot thing, but not even that. Me, I let them do next time, to be honest.
I go with
So,
Livy. Fingerprint should be done at birth. I agree with you.
yeah, but you not gonna be the same.
Huh?
Not gonna be the same. It's not gonna
No,
be the same.
your fingerprint will expand, but the print
Yeah,
stays the same. It will
yeah, no,
expand.
but
So you
it's.
can compare it in terms of size, but your fingerprint itself will stay the same.
I guess with AI capability now, it's gonna be able to do that determination. Because remember, you get partial fingerprints too, eh? So it's kind of difficult recreate. They do the footprint, yeah. They do the footprint. Um. So, what do you think about increasing the punishment, stricter laws?
I think 15 and 25 years are the same to me.
That what me I say? Yeah, 10 years,
If
because you know.
you're going to charge jail for 15,
But,
I mean,
yeah,
so the same to me, yeah, truly.
yeah. The thing is now,
You know?
well, how many people can even deal with that? Because you gotta first catch these people, with these guns. So, um,
But a question was asked. I think it was by Javan. When we catch the families of these politicians with these firearms, do we bend the laws for them?
why?
Because if you're gonna bend the laws for them, then it's a major problem still because they are part of the problem.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Touch that. Touch that.
25 to life for a gun.
Where?
Everyone just said 25 to life, boy. No. Everyone.
She might be talking about more.
I hope not, man.
Reese, I want to know what they do with packages that come in through the ports. You think we should invest in some giant X-ray machine that every package gets scanned and go through?
Well, that should be what they do. I think everything entering the federation should be searched. We should know what is in our federation.
I think that's an option. If you can't fit, break it down, and things that could hide, like a bag of flour, dog food, or whatever, let that go through a machine. You can't take anything for granted. Just take it out and run it through the X-ray. But Reese, you work with TSA, right? Okay. So I mean, you should have some really good suggestions when it comes to this part.
No, but you have to understand it's not a suggestion, it's an investment.
Yeah.
But but I feel that everything coming through, not just bags. I'm talking construction equipment, 40-foot trailer, everything that comes into the country should be searched. Every single thing coming. Like, I remember the last time I was home, and I remember I fly to St. Kitts, come through upstairs and then come downstairs, bring me back down there. And I couldn't help but wondering if my bag went through X-ray, if he just come from the plane straight in. Like, I couldn't help but actually just looking and wondering, like, how did I got X-ray back there? Why my bag just come straight in? But then when you start to hear of these individuals bringing firearms through the airport, and you start to realize they probably ain't got an X-ray back there. The bag just coming straight in.
They need an X-ray back there. Because you can't expect the customs officers to search every bag. You're gonna have a block up in the You're gonna have a block up in that little area where you pick up
Listen,
your bags. Where you call it? Rival,
no,
but they
you ain't,
run it through.
they already block up. They already block up going be because so many
No,
of the planes coming at the same time. The block up will
yeah.
start at the time because individuals can't go through immigration to go downstairs. Everybody gonna be stopped.
No, but Reese, I mean, I've gone to countries. You pick up your bag, and before you exit, you put your bag in an X-ray machine. Like you get in a line, you put your bag in an X-ray machine, and then you pick up your bag and you go. And somebody they
No,
checking it,
you're,
and you go.
no,
Yeah,
you're
it's
right.
simple as that.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the way how they have it, it needs to be upgraded.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the way how
Okay,
it is.
yeah, yeah. It the blackout would start all the way at the time at make up. Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it needs to think.
It's not something they could
Um,
implement without investment.
that's why you need those dogs. I can tell you something about dogs.
Dogs,
All
dogs.
right, usually you have the sniffing dogs, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you something how to be right. If you have oatmeal, whatever you put
Hmm.
in oatmeal, the dog is not sniffing it. If you have peanut butter, whatever you put in peanut butter, the dog will not find it.
And the man know.
So just just like every other piece of technology has their own capabilities, those dogs have their own capabilities as well. Trust me. All right, Javan said we need stiff punishment for those crimes. 25 for a weapon and 1 year for each. What? 1 year for each additional round?
There you go. Let's see if Dr. Joe was finished. Dr. Joe was finished. Hold
That
on.
our security forces will be unrelenting in working collaboratively in their obligation to preserve law and order in our federation. Our streets must remain safe so that the law-abiding citizens and residents of our federation can enjoy their peace and tranquility. Your government believes in providing a second chance to our citizens and residents who have fallen afoul of the law. However, it cannot be a second opportunity to repeat criminal activity. The present upsurge in criminal activity is a natural and direct result of the monetization of crime management.
Oh, okay. So you see now we gone into the blame game now, boy. Because of it's because of the peace program why we have crime now. But the peace program didn't exist before when we had crime. So I don't agree with that. But anyway, that's the
Um,
political side. The man doing what he need to do.
I got two questions.
Respect to that. We do have X-ray machines in the customs area, that for sure. I know for certain. However, we talk about the entry of illegal items into our country, but it truly needs to start at the airport. I mean, start at the export ports. Oh no, them
I
no, them man glad to get rid of it.
I
Man glad
I
to get rid of
understand
it.
what Clay is saying. Clay, big up yourself. But
Yeah,
if you got something and you leaving with it, yeah,
go
be
with
glad.
it. Go with it.
Go like,
Go with it. Go with it.
go like. You forward and go
Go
with
with it.
business.
Go
You
with it.
know. What I will say is I like to deal with numbers. I like to deal with facts. I like to deal with stuff that is proven. And while the blame game sounds like a good game,
Mhm.
I noticed that from 2015 up until 2021, 2022, I want to say,
Numbers
um,
been low.
the numbers were low.
Mm.
And it's just like at a gambler, like that. I don't care how I
Mhm.
win, as long as I win. As long as I win, I win. So if I had to pay a man to not shoot another man for my numbers to be low, nah. As long as I win, I win.
Mhm.
That's all I care about. So I am not playing the blame game. I am dealing with the numbers and the crime rate over the last 6, 7 years are lower than what we have now.
I think you said it. Just so you know that the peace treaty is still intact, but we don't know how it's being ran. It wasn't explained. We heard about the lack of transparency of the original peace treaty. I feel like there is a lack of transparency. There's still a lack of transparency right now, and the prime minister did say the peace treaty is still intact. He said it's just a little different. I don't know how. I don't know if the changes they made is what's causing the issues. I don't think it's causing the issues.
Oh,
Criminals are criminals.
hold on,
It's
hold
criminals are
on.
doing what criminals.
Tanya, big up yourself. Tanya said that it will never work. Just check shit out. And I understand what you're saying, Tanya. But at the end of the day, the numbers that I saw in St. Kitts Nevis was amazing. It worked down there. It may not work in Shaitan,
It
but it did a hell
worked.
of a thing in St. Kitts Nevis.
It worked. It worked. It collapsed. It collapsed.
It
But
may not
and
work in
it didn't.
Chicago.
Yeah. And it collapsed. It didn't collapse under the government that started it, so it doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same, you know.
Right?
But it worked. It worked
But
for a time. It was, but
but
Reese, I will say to you, Reese, it was not sustainable. It was only supposed to be a band-aid, I think. I don't know if they intended it to only be a band-aid, but it should have only been a band-aid, right? So they should have been putting something in place that would have been more sustainable, you know. To say it didn't, they say it didn't work in Trinidad, Jamaica, Haiti.
and there are places that it's not going to work, right?
Yeah, it can't
There are
work.
places that it's not going to work. And also keep in mind, with certain people in your society, it's not going to work. So we're going to let's use Tanya's example. For example, Chicago, when you have criminal entities that on their own are making millions of dollars from selling whatever they're selling and moving whatever they're moving, they don't need money from the government. You understand? So that's also a part of it. Who needs it and who don't need it? Because if I don't need it, you can't stop me. And that is another thing. If I could tell you, but I don't need your money, hold your money, then you can't control me. And then I know for a fact in 5 years you got to come to me to get votes. You can't control me. I run things.
But it ain't really
So
a
I am
damn thing. Reese wasn't sustainable. In the discussion, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable.
I just going by what work.
It
At
worked,
some
but
point,
it wasn't
the
sustainable.
problem is going
It
to
worked.
collapse. And I agree,
Yeah,
but you know,
it wasn't sustainable. But it worked. I mean, I agree, it worked for that point in time when it was rolling out. People were upset, but no, I want to know if they're more upset now or they're more upset with that part. But it worked for that part, but they needed something else. And I was hoping that the government, and I hope that the government finds something soon. You know, I mean, big up the government, big up the ex-government, big up
but
the governments to come.
we also need to transition into the second part of the topic. I think we should hold that for another show.
What, the right to hold a firearm? It's shut down.
Yeah.
9 o'clock.
Yeah,
We went on too long.
You don't roll that into another one.
But we can just
You don't
talk
roll
it
that
though.
But you know, we could ask them. We could ask
We could
them
do
too.
50. Yeah.
'Cause, you know, just a quick question to everybody. With the current situation in crime, and clearly not really being the most protected society, do you think that our citizens should be allowed to own firearms, legal firearms, law-abiding citizens?
They're
Go through and
able
do
to.
everything. Huh?
You're able to. So rephrase that question. They're able to. They're
The
able to. They're
regular,
citizens.
the regular everyday man could own. Not me time with a business owner. The regular
Oh,
everyday man
okay.
could own a firearm.
Okay.
No. Do you think that firearms should be more accessible to everybody? Do you think we should have more leniency in the citizens obtaining firearms? Not right now. Okay.
Yeah.
We should understand what you say.
I mean,
Lisa,
when she mean that right now, don't start to put it in motion because you can't just say tomorrow, yeah, everybody could get a gun, but start to put it in motion and build the required legislation and other infrastructure you need to do it.
responsible citizens, yes, not the guy who would take up his own gun when someone is upset with them. I agree.
But Reese, you can't. How
Yeah.
would you be able to determine that person and how that person is going to behave? How are you going to
You
make
really
that
can't.
determination?
You really cannot. Not
Yeah,
at
but if you
all. Shouldn't the more guns, the more problems? You take it away,
ask
be strict with it.
ask ask
Okay.
Switzerland about that. Ask
Put a
Switzerland about
pause on
more
it.
guns, more problem.
Put a pause on it right now.
Ask Switzerland about that. I just want to say one thing they have to remember, and I think we discussed this in the Ren chat, that if you own the gun, right? If you get the gun, the ballistics of that gun will go into a database. So if that gun is used in a crime, we come in for you. End the discussion. We don't know it's your gun. We just run this against the database. Oh, it's one of our registered gun. So might as well just turn yourself in. And if your gun got stolen and you didn't report it within a certain time frame, then you're still responsible for that. Because you're supposed to know where your weapon is. You're supposed to keep your weapon secure. So
So this one says owning a firearm is a huge responsibility. You don't want those guns to end up on the streets from responsible citizens acting irresponsibly. Okay. Um,
I think
what I
all that
will
is
say is
clear.
that I think we have all heard of situations that we all know individuals who would have passed away. Probably would have been a robbery gone wrong, and they just weren't able to protect themselves. I for one, I'm a strong believer in people owning guns. I do believe that when you call the police is a reactive service. You're going to call the police after the shots have been fired. So I think that citizens should be allowed to protect themselves. I also think that well, not even that I also think, but in societies where they're in areas where they're more legal firearm ownership, there are actually less shootings. Okay, that's actually one of the weirdest things. Hold on, Javon just said something. America has so much problems with shooting and mass shootings. Australia had a mass shooting, they took away all the guns. It's not a right to own a gun.
Mm.
And from since, they haven't had any mass shootings and gun crimes are way down.
Mm.
Javon, I'm going to explain something to you.
Yay.
I'm going to explain something to you. I need you to listen to
That
me,
is a
listen to me clearly.
regurgitation. That is a regurgitation of
I
something
need you
he
to
heard and didn't look
I need you
into
to
at
understand
all.
something, Javon. When you look at the mass shootings in America, I want you to always take a look at where they're going. They go to places where they're considered soft targets. You go to places where firearms are restricted. You're looking at places like schools, law enforcement and government offices, some movie theaters. That's where you go to, right? They don't even go to malls as much anymore because everybody in the mall walk with a gun. They went into the church and they shoot some people. This guy went into a church in Texas and tried to shoot some people and got shot in his back. All right. So the mass shootings is also location. Shooting at school is easy because teachers don't have guns. Most of them only have one sheriff. It is what it is. Okay. I'm going to tell you what you would never see, or you have never seen, or you have never heard of, is a mass shooting in any ghetto in America because everybody got a gun. So you're driving, you ain't sure to drive out. So giving individuals the opportunity to protect themselves, I feel is a major thing. Okay, Java? Wait, let me see what Clady said. In my opinion, the issue is a stigma which is contributing to the issue. I think our government should amend the laws. As stated, it should now by the coach. For example, a lot of these guys can't get a job because they have been to jail for weed, and now they have a record which hinders them from being hired. That is very true. So if the law so if the law to have a record expands in regards, it will aid in changing the social behavior, as it should allow individuals who just had a weed charge the ability to get hired at more higher numbers. I actually agree. I actually agree. If you if a charge if a charge is hindering you from getting a job, then I agree. That especially if you got a little minor weed charge at a day bag.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me say a piece about the whole gun ownership thing before we close off. America is not the only place that has high gun ownership. Switzerland, and you don't hear nobody talking about a lot of mass shooting in Switzerland. It's almost like a mandate for you to own a gun in Switzerland. Um, the other thing, Reese made excellent points,
Not one
right?
gun, not one gun. Switzerland's own, the Swiss own a lot of guns.
They own a lot of guns. They own a lot of
Yeah.
guns. I don't know why people don't like to use that as a point, but they own a lot of guns. Okay, you don't want to give people the right to own guns. That's fine. There's this stigma against them. I understand. It usually comes from people who don't understand them. But you can't even buy a bulletproof vest because a bulletproof vest can be used in criminal activities. So something that could actually probably save people's lives. You have a business, you got to make a late drop, whatever the case may be. You're closing up, you just want to wear your vest, or wherever, wear your clothes up. You leave in your business late, you want to put on your vest. You can't do that because law-abiding citizens are being punished by the people them who are supposed to protect them, but they're also punished because of the people who don't care about the law. So they're gonna have bulletproof vests even if you said buy one or not.
But law-abiding citizens are the ones that are targets, right? Because 9 out of 10 times a gangster go to another
Sometimes.
gangster. A gangster go to another gangster. 9 out of 10 times the other gangster got a gun as well. People are afraid of dying here. These guys are afraid of dying. So they go for soft targets. So they're gonna say, well, hey, ain't no Reese ain't got a gun, let me go to Reese.
We're talking about robberies.
No, in general.
Are you talking about murders?
In
Homicides?
general. And
I
homicides
mean,
as well.
the homicides, I don't know. Well, homicides, the premise, it seems like it's related to gang activity. So I don't know how to respond to that part that you just said. What we do know is that there's a problem, and I don't think there is one solution. It would take multiple efforts, but we cannot be afraid to fail. And once we fail, we have to keep trying. We need to try things, and we also need to take good metrics of what is working and what is not working. Like I said, you're going to increase the CCTV. I don't know what that's going to do because I haven't heard how effective it's been in solving crimes right now. You're going to increase the police patrolling. Well, it depends on how that looks, because is it going to be a case that the police are going to get tired, not really going to patrol, they're just going to be hotting up the place, disturbing normal law-abiding citizens, walking the dog, or just being disrespectful. You're going to look regional help, but the regional help may not even help. But don't be afraid to try it. So I applaud you for trying something. I hope it works, because the situation is dire. And that's all I could say.
Javon made a statement. Reese, I just said, no, hold on. But it is so on, Joanne,
Reese,
your statement is. I
Reese, now
understand
let's
the gun is. Huh? What is it?
I just want to make sure we don't go into a back and forth and make the case
No,
about
no,
should we own guns versus
no.
would it
I
help.
going into that.
But the idea is here, Reese. You said they should. Why do you think that citizens in St. Kitts and Nevis owning a gun would help ease the crime rate? That's what I would want you to put forward to the people. Like, why do you think ownership of law-abiding gun ownership by law-abiding citizens would help the situation?
I tell, I'll tell you why it will help.
Hmm.
Right? One of the reasons it will help is because the moment there's an argument, instead of going for a gun right away, we're gonna have to find other ways to handle the situation. So conflict resolution is going to come into play. It's no longer going to be let me just shoot. And then also a lot of crimes happen in the area of other people. So you may shoot one and somebody else gonna shoot you. So instead of going to the whole shooting, everybody be like, hey, let's talk it out. If you ever know, sometimes when you notice, right, when you have a firearm on you is when you're the most calmest here, because you also know that any mistake that you make changes your life forever. The people who are reckless with firearms are the ones who don't care. Those who don't care 9 out of 10 times they own illegal firearms. Like you can't just pull a gun out and just brandish your gun. Hey, I got a gun, I'm gonna shoot you. No, that's a crime. You could go to jail for just pulling your gun out. So now you think twice, 3 times, 4 times before you even think of touching your gun. You only want to make it back home, yeah? The only thing when you have your gun, the only thing most people like I leave home and I just say, God, I just want to come back home. I don't want no problem. I just want to come back home. That's all I don't want. I leave home 2 o'clock in the morning. It'd be silly of me to walk out to my house without the gun. But I'm not taking up my gun to say I ever shoot nobody. No, I just want to come back home. I just want to come back home to my family. That's all I want. I ain't going out there to go look for Javan, to go shoot Javan. No. I just want to cool out. I want to come back home.
And I would say I'm an advocate for gun ownership by law-abiding citizens, but I would also say I don't think that the ownership of guns would help in the uptick that we've seen in homicides right now. Maybe in the last one, I don't know, but particularly the gang violence, I don't think that would help. In robberies, I think it would kind of ease robberies. Um, Whereas now people are going to think twice about robbing an individual because that individual might be strapped and may be able to return fire, maybe able to defend themselves in a way that they're not accustomed to. So, but with the homicides that we're seeing right now, I don't think it applies, because we're not talking about law-abiding citizens. Let's be real. If we look at the data is going to show us most of the homicides we saw would be. Let me not say that because I don't know who the victims are. I'm sorry. The prime minister say it's gang related. Let me just put it that way, right? So if it's gang related, then we could assume that they're criminals, right? Not. I don't know if every gangster is a criminal. I don't even want to go and say so. Maybe it's just a man who not got an opportunity and he just needs something to do and the gang's providing for them. So maybe we need to look at that. Maybe we need to provide more economic opportunities for youngsters. Give them different training. Not everybody good with a book, but some people good with their hands. You know what I mean? So we can't discard them because they don't have 1600 CXC subjects. We still have to find something for them to do in society that they're going to be progressive, that they're going to contribute. Vocational schools. I don't know if we have any of those vocational schools. Trade schools, man. Let's have carpentry, plumbing, and there's other things out there. I could look at a dear friend of mine. Used to get in a lot of trouble in a school, Reese. Right now, the man is one of the biggest engineers out there right now. You know, I actually met him because he used to get in a trouble. So his parents sent him to town, you know. But he came to the United States, and he's one of the, you know, I mean, we could turn around the lives of some of these people. We just really need to figure out what they need. Wasn't it one of the guys them who got killed last was the same guy that said he just trying to do a car wash or something? He made a trying to do a business. The same one who they had locked up. I don't know if it was him or his other twin. They had locked him up because he break into a house, some building to go sleep, something like that. So, like, we know what the problem is, you know, but are we willing to really get to the root of the problem? Or are we just looking for another band-aid? Maybe we're just looking for another band-aid for political mileage. I am going to let some responsibility on the politicians and the government. I'm also going to let some responsibility on the community. I'm going to definitely let some responsibility on the criminals. Because you guys need to do better, man. Ain't even what killing each other. And I know the vengeance is high. Because a man take your brother life, a man take your cousin life, a man take your friend life. It can't go so, it can't go so, it can't go so. No, we got bounce back, but we ain't taking that. But it never gonna stop. It never gonna stop. So just think about that.
Like I said, the streets clean the streets. But you know what the biggest issue is sometimes with the streets clean the streets? Some people don't even know what they're fighting for.
Not at all.
Some people have no idea what they war about or the beef about. Sometimes it's just a fight. It's a $5 that take 15 people life.
$5. Imagine that. The trickle effect, the domino effect. But anyway, big up everyone that joined us tonight. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't liked and subscribed, I encourage you to go ahead and do it. Also, check us out over at YouTube. We're on YouTube. I'm asking that you go over there and like and subscribe. This is Real Talk Corner. We bring meaningful and positive discussions. We're here to make a change. That's the kind of entertainment we want to provide. Tomorrow night we have the topics with Alan and China Wallen. So you don't know that one. There's a little jiggy vibes. They talk about like a little political swing in there, but ain't political bias. The government gets a little tug now and again, but you know that go. Lisa, can let you take us out, and
yeah, man. To everybody that viewed this show tonight, we say thank you. As we noticed, we spoke about crime and any crime situation, and it's an ongoing conversation. It's not a one-time conversation, so we will revisit this conversation at some point, and we'll look at the numbers and see where we were, where we had this show, and where we are at the next show, and to see has there been any improvements, any steps taken going forward. With that being said, everybody have a good night. Blessings. It's been real.
We on the corner, man. We on the corner, man. We on the corner, man. With that real talk. Real talk, real talk, real talk, real talk.
Low that's blossom, don't cry. Without any sun. Low that's blossom, don't cry. Without any sun. Low that's blossom, don't cry. Without any sun. Low that's blossom, don't cry.
Real talk, real talk.